Eastern Conference time. Let's start with the division leaders, Tampa Bay Lightning versus the New Jersey Devils. As a Leaf fan, I was gearing up to play Tampa Bay because it looked as if we were going to play them in the first round of the playoffs. This series is almost biblical. You have the New Jersey Devils, they're red and black in color, they're the last wild card spot in the division, and then you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, and you can just imagine lightning coming down from the heavens. They're light in color. I don't know, that's the most religious I can get today, but do you see it? Do you see it? Kind of like fire and ice. Now, despite the gap in the standings, New Jersey swept Tampa Bay. Okay, see, that's why I don't like looking at the series they played head-to-head with each other this year as concrete evidence as to who's going to be winning in this series. Yes, they swept them this year, but in every single game, there was only a 1-goal lead. And sometimes not even that. There was actually a game that went into overtime. So I would definitely not suggest using that for a reason as to why they're going to win. And of course, with Tampa Bay leading the division, they kind of have the advantage here. And you do sometimes want to go with the underdog, but I just cannot do that in good faith. I cannot put my vote behind a team who is not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is just too good for that. I can't do it with a Lightning team this good. And so that is why I say Tampa Bay wins this. Washington Capitals versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Does it get any more American than this? The question on everyone's mind right now, if you're a Capitals fan, heck, even if you're not, you're just a fan of hockey, is will Ovechkin ever get the cup? And well, of course, to do that, you'll have to get past the first round. Now, before you say Washington is going to win, let me tell you that they are going into this postseason with a question mark in net. Over the past couple of months, Braden Holtby has had a few problems in net, which has caused Washington to put in their backup goalie. At this point in time, it seems like they'll play who's ever winning games. Now, I remember having a number one goalie issue, and I know this is not the case. Braden Holtby is still getting paid like a number one goalie, and he is still their number one goalie. And while it is by no means the end of you, it can cause some problems, especially when you're playing the highest scoring team in the league right now. I hate to say this, and I flipped and flopped a little bit back and forth on the answer to this, but I'm going with Columbus to win the series. And finally, we get to my team, Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Boston Bruins. Let's start this one off with, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? That you're gonna do that? Listen, okay? Ever since the Leafs have been in playoff talks, I've been rallying for a Boston-Toronto rematch. And then when we clinched, it looked like we might be playing Tampa Bay, and at first I rebelled against that idea, and then I kind of got into it. It would have been the first time ever that the Leafs have met Tampa Bay in the playoffs, and I can get behind that. But then Boston had to go and lose, and now we are playing them. Now, if I were going off regular season series records, I would definitely want to play Boston over Tampa Bay because we're good against Boston. Now, I don't want to be that fan who is constantly bringing up 2013, but if you think for a second that I am going to say Boston wins, you have another thing coming. 2013 will not happen again. There are only 5 players left on our team right now who are part of that 2013 playoff team. I don't want to name names, but Jake Gardiner was the last person to touch the puck before we were eliminated from the playoffs. Just saying. You guys ask why I don't like him? Just saying. Honestly, I kind of think that is residual tension from that time rolling over into this year where I don't like him, but for no good reason. This year, as I'm sure you already know, the Leafs have a franchise record of 49 wins. Our number one goalie has a franchise record of 38 wins. Not only are the Leafs the strongest that they've been in recent memory, but I think that you can feel that we're going to go far this year, and by far, of course, I mean just the second round. But that feeling, I think it has a name, and its name is James Van Riemsdyk. That may or may not be a joke, but now I should probably say something about Boston because I'm trying to give an analysis of each team. So I guess I should get some facts out of the way for them. Could I please just say my personal facts first? I think the Bruins are snakes. I think they're horrible and I hate them. If the Bruins win by fluke and get past us and then get past the next round and so on, if you tell me that Brad Marchand can get through a postseason without hurting someone, I would be surprised. This series is going to be physically demanding. There's no two ways about it. We see that every time we play the Bruins. I don't really care about that though, because the key for us is Frederik Andersen, as it has been the entire season. The Leafs coming into this first round right now are healthy, and that's huge. Now, the Bruins have been absolutely riddled with injuries throughout this whole entire season. The scary thing is that they still managed to be in talks for the division title until the very last game of the season. And listen, hear me out, okay? I try to give unbiased opinions as much as anyone can for these other teams. Of course, I don't watch them every day, and I don't know everything there is to know about them. But when it comes to the Leafs, I wear blue and white goggles, and I say the Leafs will win this series. Let's be real here, okay? I'm not saying the Leafs are going to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. All I'm saying is that they will get past the first round, they will make it to the second, and I think they will lose in the second, but that's perfect. This is the Shanna plan, okay? We still have 1 or 2 more years before we even start thinking about a parade. Just kidding, now I'm thinking about it. The Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Battle of Pennsylvania. Now, I know that the Penguins swept the Flyers this year, but something deep down in my gut tells me that the Flyers will not make it easy on the Penguins. They will hold their own in this series. And me telling you it's from my gut means absolutely nothing, based on nothing, but it's something. Okay, yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions 2 consecutive years in a row, but maybe some small part of me doesn't think they can make it that far again, and that's why I'm thinking this way. Both teams have had goaltender issues this season, but if you look at their records, my God, have the Flyers been on a roller coaster ride. 10-game losing streak here, 10-game winning streak here, But despite all that, the Flyers have still managed to get here, and I guess that's something. So who will win? This is probably my toughest decision to make out of all the matchups. I'm gonna have to go against the 2-time reigning champions and say Philadelphia wins. Am I stupid? Am I out of my mind? Just maybe. I almost physically can't say this because at the exact same time, I feel like Pittsburgh is gonna go 4 games, sweep them, and everybody's gonna say, Selena, you're crazy. Why would you pick them? Everybody would have picked Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is great. Why is my voice getting so high? You know what? This is my crazy pick of the year. This is my dose of being a little bit wild, a little bit crazy. After this, I will go solely based on statistics, all right? Flyers win this series. And that is the Eastern Conference. I made a Western Conference video if you guys want to check that out, and I'm also doing a little NHL bracket. I have linked it here, description, and in the comments. Basically, you just make your own little bracket of who you think is going to win all the way up to the Stanley Cup Final. You get to pick how many games and all that. And then you can add it to my league, and we can all see what everyone's thinking. And I also have a video coming out where I go over my bracket. So please leave a comment down below or join my league and let me know who you think is going to win the Stanley Cup and all the way up to it. Okay, I will see you in my bracket video.